I would like to apologize that I wrote my own bio incorrectly in our program. I've been involved since 2015, not 2014. Don't know if it makes too much of a difference, but I think by the scope of programs I've been involved with, y'all can kind of understand how that would get jumbled up. Wait. Okay, so as Taylor said, my name is Emiko Kranz. I am a Yonsei, born and raised in Torrance, California, to a family that's always been really great at cherishing our stories. Also, before I get started, I just want to mention that when I say Bachan, I know that to some people that might mean grandma, but to me that means my great-grandma. Similarly, Ji-chan is my great-grandfather. There's this one Saturday this past March when I was at home trying to do my taxes with my dad, when my mom brought out a lot of my Ji-chan's old pins and medals. We've actually been digging out a lot of heirlooms from her side of the family recently, and we've been running into the same problem with most things we uncover. Possessions like these, an old family tree, and letters between Bachan and Ji-chan after Ji-chan was taken by the FBI following the day's Pearl Harbor. All of these things are in Japanese, and it's a language that's been removed from my family for generations. This gets to me every time because the answer to the question, if you could sit down and talk with anyone, living or past, who would it be? For me, it's always been my ancestors who immigrated to this country. However, tacked onto that wish is the sobering realization that I wouldn't even be able to talk with any of them. The people who sacrificed so much to make a life here, the people who raised my beloved grandparents, we would be divided by language. But recently I'm starting to see why this is mattering less and less to me. And that's because I've come to understand my value in preserving our stories. The vehicle for this understanding actually came from a Kizuna workshop. We facilitated this workshop with Track 3 of Leadership this past summer on congruence. And as Megan and Caitlin explained in their lesson, congruence is demonstrated through your relationship with your word. Do your words really culminate in actions which convey the values that you've proclaimed? This segment was fairly early on in our curriculum, but I kept thinking about it every week. And I found myself coming back to the same question every night, late on Wednesdays, driving down the Open 10 freeway on my way home after leadership. If preserving my family's stories is so important to me, then what actions have I taken to convey that value? And it's not that I'm guilting myself with questions like these. I think it's really important to have these reflective moments, to take time to meditate on questions, to make sure that I'm still aligned with my values in all of the actions that I take and all of the motivations I have in my commitments. This is what brought me to put more effort into projects related to uncovering and documenting some of my family's stories. So this book, Nanka Bunge Senshu, the Southern California Literary Arts Collection, is an anthology by Akira Fujita from 1981. It contains things like stories, diaries, manuscripts, and personal memorabilia. It also includes the letters from Bachan to Ji-chan from when they were separated. My grandpa would always talk about how he wondered what was in these letters, and I realized, it wouldn't be too difficult for us to find out. So I sent my friend Saki a few scans of those pages, and within a couple of days, she sent me the first interaction that I've had with my great-grandparents in decades. Dear Papa-sama, it has been drizzling all day, and although it feels like winter has gone away where we are, at the enemy incarceration camp, standing at more than 1,000 meters above sea level, where you are, I imagine you're shivering from the cold. The children are all doing well and are a handful as usual. Since they're on Easter vacation, the house is loud, and for someone who is busy like myself, there are times when taking care of the kids and preparing for the relocation becomes unbearable. However, I am fortunate to have good health, and even at night, I am busy with preparations to relocate. If you think about it, what is happening to the Nikkei was unpredictable, and as for now, I am praying peace will return to the entire world again. This morning, Mrs. Sano showed me a telegram she received informing her that Mr. Sano has been released. He's probably meeting her at the site where they are relocating. I wish that, hearing this, you will keep your hopes up. I shouldn't have written this much, but I really hope this letter goes through the examination and falls into the hands of Papa-sama. Goodbye. Now, I couldn't read this in my Bachan's words. I couldn't read it in Japanese. And I couldn't hear it in her voice, but these were her words. And everybody who's read the Japanese letters has told me that she wrote so eloquently, just as my mom always said she had. I could feel how she, Ji-chan, and my grandpa endured during their time. And I think this is also the first time that I really felt what it means for family to make sacrifices. Here I was in conversation with her as I had wished for, and this chance wasn't fleeting. Since we finished the translations, I've shared the document with our entire family. It remains ready and in waiting for any time that I want to feel close to Bachan and Ji-chan again. And I'm determined to never let that connection feel lost. Preservation for me is paramount as a core value, and it goes beyond stories and history. This community has its own values, it has spirit and all these intangibles that we hope to carry on through our work. What we do with Kizuna is engage our students through their sense of individuality. No matter what age group, from summer camp to service learning, we hold these workshops on values. We start out by teaching them some of the historic values from the Japanese American narrative. Gaman, ishokenmei, shikata ga nai. Ganbatte, like Matthew was talking about. We define them not only in English, but what they mean to us. And after that, we take it a step even further and ask them, what are your core values? What does it mean to you to have values? These words aren't going to be passed down through generations just from us speaking of them every once in a while. We owe it to ourselves, we owe it to the people before us, and we owe it to everyone coming after as the next generation of leaders to think about what it means to embody these values. Ever since we finished the Letters project, I've continued going up to my grandparents' house each year to help prepare osechi before New Year's. And I'm also in the process of recording their verbal recipes so that we can keep cooking them this way for years to come. And I do still think about that situation sometimes, the whole hypothetical situation with my ancestors. Even if I were to sit down and talk with them, I don't think that words would be enough to convey the depth of my gratitude. Instead, it's much more important for me now to really understand what it means for family to love and for family to make sacrifices. And I understand as well that it's their stories that brought me to this place. It's their stories that have laid the foundation for my work with this community and my place as a member of this community. And I hope that after tonight, after hearing my stories, and after the conversations that we've had together, that everybody here can take some time to reflect more on what it means to have values, and not only that, but what it means to act with congruence on those values. Thank you very much.